Welcome to episode 2 of Bass Brawl Breakdown. Hopefully you had a chance to check out the first episode where we talked about an offshore hump. This episode we're going to talk about a long point that's coming from shore and it has a mix of cool things on it. This point stretches way out into the lake. It's about 500 to 600 yards long and it's a big expansive area where fish can use it season after season. One of the things that makes this whole area so good is it actually starts up in that 5 to 6 feet of water and it trickles all the way out to about 17, 18 feet at the tip of this. It gives those fish lots of different areas to hang out, and on bad weather or just in a different mood, those fish can just shift up or down that structure, only move 200 to 300 yards, and they're in any depth of water and a bunch of different types of cover on that structure. My goal when I fish a spot like this is always to find the sweet spot. And most of the time when you look at a big mosaic like this, it makes it pretty easy to find out what should be the sweet spot. Now the fish don't always follow with what looks good to us, but when you look at this map, it's pretty easy to see. My favorite is a few of these areas. One is where the thicker rock is out on the end of it with the bluegill beds next to it. It's almost like a dinner table right inside the wall of rock, and the sunfish are in there and those bass come in there and there's nowhere for those little bluegills to escape. The other spot is midway up there and that section where those bluegill beds are. Again, if there's too many, it kind of takes away from a spot. This is perfect. They're spread out. There's a few different key areas on a big area like this. And then the other I like is right where those weeds end and it turns into the rocky hard bottom. You can tell by those weeds, they're really super thick, and a lot of that is coontail. There's a little bit of cabbage mixed in too. But you come out of that thick stuff and those fish can be right on the edge or just out in front of there on that flat swimming around. This spot's a little different than episode 1 when we talked about that hump not being good in the spring, because this actually comes from the deep water and leads all the way up into a shallow spawning bay. So this is a perfect area after ice out where those fish start to use it, and then as the water warms, they just follow their way up there like a highway right into the spawning bay. Once those bass are done spawning, they're going to come right back out and follow this right back out to the deeper water. This is when it can get really good. That's when those sunfish start building their beds and those bass are hungry and they want to recuperate. They're in there just pounding those gills. And it doesn't matter what size of gills, they're eating them. How many times have you caught a bass and you look in their throat and there's a tail sticking out? That is what these fish are here for. They're here to feed. Since the gills are going to be around those bedding areas pretty much all summer, those bass are going to stay there too. This spot is good in the spring, it's good late spring, early summer, and it takes you right into fall and the fish are still there. You got those thick weeds, you got the bait fish, the newly hatched minnows and other fish in those weeds for protection, and those bass are going to stick around there. It can get really, really good when that water drops down in the mid 50s and you just go along there with a shallow crankbait and fish right on the edge of those weeds. You can hammer fish doing that. Once you get to late fall where that water is really cold and a lot of the weeds are thinning out and dying off, those big pockets up into that 5 to 7 foot area of coontail can be absolutely dynamite. And if you're throwing jigs in there and you get a bite, it's almost guaranteed that if you keep doing that, you're going to keep getting fish after fish in there. They'll just absolutely stack up in a spot like that. One tip on a spot like this is to slowly roll over it and just watch your 2D sonar. If it lights up with small marks of bait fish or clouds of sunfish, it is going to be on. Make sure you turn around and fish the spot. If you roll over a spot like this and there is no signs of life, I would head right into those thick weeds and then start working that, looking for the fish. If they're out and about, they're going to be moving around and they're going to show up on the sonar pretty easily. This was a quick breakdown of why I like this area and why it puts out so many fish. How would you attack a spot like this? Thanks for watching episode 2 of Bass Brawl Breakdown. If you found this content useful, please hit that subscribe button and the like button. In the next episode, we're going to cover some more offshore structure and really dive into the details of what makes that spot good.